Hi there, I'm Andrew. Welcome to Adventure Rider. Today I'm going to show you one of the best jackets, I think, in the adventure world for 2025. This is the Rev'it Sand 5 H2O Jacket and Trousers. The jacket is $439.99. It's a AA CE approved item, and the trousers are similarly AA approved at $349.99. And this is the 5th version of the Sand series of jackets and trousers. We also have a great new glove. And in simple terms, I think the Sand 5 H2O is one of the best layered approaches to a motorcycle adventure jacket that there is on the market. One jacket that can do everything from taking you around commuting in the UK to taking you all the way to Morocco in the heat of the summer, and being good for both on the bike and for off the bike. It's so well considered. Here you have 3 layers. You have a thermal layer, you have a waterproof layer, and you have the outer shell. And all of these things are individual and they are configurable however you want. So the thermal jacket on its own is removable from the entire equation. You can also wear it as a really genuinely nice jacket off the bike, around the campfire, or doing whatever you do in the workshop or whatever on its own. And that's not always the case with removable thermals. Sometimes they stop very short in the body or the arms. This is a genuine offering. Then we have a waterproof layer, and the key thing with this is that it can be worn underneath or on top of this layer you see here. So I will get to all these bits individually and I'll show you them in more detail, but that gives you such great versatility, because one of the problems with having a waterproof layer that's removable but is only under this outer ripstop layer is that in the event of high rainfall, this outer will still wet out. It will get damp and it will get heavy, and it will therefore potentially make you quite cold. So you might stay dry because the liner, the waterproof liner layer is still there, but it's not what you really want in an ideal world. So having the ability to take it out and put it over, and having a layer that can actually do that in both ways and not be restrictive when it's over the jacket and not be too big and cumbersome when it's under the jacket, is a work of art. And that works brilliantly because if you have it over, then of course nothing here gets wet. And it also serves as a windbreaker if you want that intermediate level of warmth on a morning start, but perhaps you don't need the full-on thermal layer included. That's quite a good option too. So having that configurability is key. And also that waterproof layer can be worn just on its own off the bike too, and paired up with the thermal layer. So you've got something there that, as I say, there isn't a situation that can happen where you'll be caught out. The argument against layered approaches leveled by laminated membranes is that it's more faff. And that's undoubtedly true. If it starts to rain and then it stops, or you start to get really animated on the bike and you're going to get a bit hot, you may need to open vents, you may need to take the waterproof layer off or out or stow it away. But if you do that, you will have the right setup. Whereas with a laminated layer, when it starts to get hot, even if you open vents up when it's not raining, you still have that waterproof membrane bonded to your jacket, and that's not necessarily what you want in every situation. So for me, this is a really good, configurable, versatile offering. The trousers as well, which as I said, I will get to in more detail, but that has also evolved highly from where we were, even with the off-track previously, because that also has the ability with the waterproof layer to wear both under and over. And for a trouser, that's even more impressive than it is for a jacket, because having that membrane go over means it's going to be in contact with things like your pegs, with things like the side rails and the frames and everything on your bike, and they have to be seriously robust to be over the trouser and to fit that as well. So it's really very impressive that Rev'it have managed to do all that. The old versions, you just had to have the trousers under. There was no real choice there. But in addition to that, we have a jacket that is incredibly premium, and despite the 3 layers that are all sort of separate but can go as one or as 2, it feels really lightweight, it feels really ergonomic, it's very stylish. I have it here in the black. This was the first colorway to arrive, so it's not the best for picking out the details. You will be relieved to note there are also lighter colors as well. I think there are 4 different color options for 2025, with the remaining 3 coming slightly later in the season than the release of this black, but the black always tends to sell the best, despite people moaning that it's not good in the heat. But this one has so many great features when it comes to the ergonomics of things like the venting. So one of those being this front pocket. So we have the 2 zips here, and on previous versions of the Sand jacket, we just had essentially this piece, which would open up a small gap, and you'd hope that you'd get enough airflow through there to cool you down. Whereas with this one, we have this massive, whopping, great big vent, which you can just roll away, and you've got huge amounts of airflow. That's clearly mirrored on that side too. You also have then vents on the arms as well, so you're going to get ventilation down there. And I will show you the very large exit vents on the back in just a second. But that alone is a huge point of difference from what we had before, because it means that this jacket doesn't really have the limitations in terms of heat, because where this outer on its own, without the thermal, without the waterproof liner, it's surprisingly lightweight. And with this open, there's not going to be many situations. We are talking Morocco in the summer, Spain, and these kind of places where you probably still want a mesh jacket or just a body armor layer with an MX jersey. Those are the extremes to which this perhaps doesn't cater to. But even if you are in this, you're going to get by, you're going to be fine. And the great thing is you are covered in all eventualities to some extent. You won't need to take a different jacket for off the bike, a different jacket for if it starts to rain, and so on. It's all here, it's all in this one package of 439, which is less than the previous version of the Sand, by the way, slightly more than the off-track, but there's no doubt this is a much, much more refined, premium feeling jacket than the off-track. The ripstop is pretty extensive down the sleeves, on the upper. It's easily getting to AA. We also have an intermediate point, I should just mention there, where you can pop that on, and then you've got a sort of halfway house, which is quite nice because you may not necessarily want the entire thing undone and getting all that ventilation through, so it's nice to be able to control that. Clearly this is possible to pair up with the trousers via the zipper that connects it and makes it into a sort of one piece. There's lots of adjustability and tailoring, so you have it on the biceps, you have it on the side, upper and lower waist, you've got it on the forearms, round cuffs and collars and everything as well. Soft piping makes it really comfy too. You've got the ability to team this with Rev'it Sand neck brace. It would only fit, I believe, the Rev'it neck brace as opposed to just being universal. These are usually specific to certain brands, so obviously Rev'it's is going to fit the Rev'it one. We also have storage pouches on the side which are really nicely integrated, so that actually overlays on itself, and I think that looks really neat, so you can kind of cover that up. And the Rev'it logo, the branding, as you can see there, that's pretty subtle. Reflective piece here and on the back as well. So this is a large. Large is in centimeters on the Rev'it size guide. It says 102 to 108 centimeters, which is about 40 to 42. I am 41, and I would go for the large. I would say it's actually kind of generous. So sometimes with the Rev'it stuff, I'm finding like, yes, it does fit me, but it's quite fitted. So if I was someone with a 40 chest, but perhaps a bit of a belly, or somebody who wanted to wear it a little bit looser to, I don't know, fit some body armor layers under, or knows they're going to layer up with thicker thermals and stuff, you know, you may need to go up, but I don't think that's the case here. I think they've actually sized it probably slightly more generously than we found in previous versions. Nice detailing on the elbows, protection ripstop area there as well. And if I can show you this piece, so this is what I meant. We've got a really, really large back exit vent. You may need a friend to do this, or you may need to do it before you get off. Get the jacket on itself. I don't think it's easy to do this as you're going along by any means. But look at that. I mean, that means that percentage-wise, I don't know what we're talking about, but a large majority, 2/3 at least, of that meaningful back section becomes a huge exit vent to allow loads of airflow. So you really are going to feel as cool as you can be with a textile jacket like this that's not just a complete mesh. And the fact that you can then do it all up, pop a waterproof over it, keep a thermal on under it, and just have a complete protection system is really very cleverly thought through indeed. As you can see through at the bottom, this horizontal pouch just underneath where I am now here is a large storage area, and I would think that that's quite a logical place to keep perhaps the thermal layer if you need to, or the rain layer if you're not wearing that as well. So going back towards the front, we have this overlay snap, which has got different ratchet points here on the male part of the snap system, which is great because obviously you can taper that in as you need to. If you've got a big thick neck collar on, or if you've just got a thicker neck, then that's easy to tailor. So you've got different points there. You can also pin this back so that if you are to have the thing open, you've got a bit more airflow going on, and everything's just really well considered with the Rev'it stuff. The zip is so easy to operate. It doesn't feel like one of these that's going to gunk up and it's going to fight you and you just don't want the hassle. And when it comes to removing the layers, I've said before that I prefer there to be zips to remove different layers, but the Off-Track 2 previously had me change up my narrative a bit, because if it's done well with poppers, and we have a very limited number of poppers, then it can be done really quickly and easily, and that is definitely the case here. So that's the waterproof layer starting to appear now. And if I just undo 1, 2 poppers, that's all that is needed to hold it in place, and it meaningfully does hold it in place. It doesn't bunch up, it doesn't move around. In all honesty, you may even get away with not doing it up and connecting it at all. So that's really cleverly thought through. I mean, as you can already see, that looks like a really nice color. It's got a really premium feel to the fabric. It's a 3L as well, the waterproof layer, which is the hardest wearing tri-laminate layer. So this is proper quality stuff. It's got that soft, almost sort of like felty feel to the outer. It just feels really premium, and it's gonna look good on its own, as I said. And then to undo this, we have a mixture of Velcro and a couple of poppers at the top, and this storm flap where it goes back on itself, so the water is not going to get through to the zip. It's just going to be channeled down this kind of gutter thing that gets created by the storm flap. And then one more zip, and again 2 more poppers, and we reveal the thermal jacket layer, which is long enough in the body that it can be worn on its own. You don't find that you've got a little crop top thing going on, and it extends all the way down the sleeves as well to make it a proper jacket. This is nice, it's soft, it's well tailored, it's good looking, it's got a little pocket on the inside as well. And I will, in the B-roll, show you it in all 3 different configurations. But for me, a really, really clever idea, and this just simply slides straight out and can go over the top. In all honesty, I'd probably always wear the waterproof over the top. I don't particularly see the merit, I suppose, in having it on the underside is that you maintain use of your pockets should you need access to storage and things like that. But for me, usually I have a backpack for those sorts of purposes anyway, so I think in practice I'd probably put the waterproof layer on the outside mostly, but it's definitely nice to have the option if you want to, and as I say, if there's that kind of maybe extra wind chill factor you want to prevent, and having it underneath could be quite nice. So this jacket really hits the mark. I think it's a 10 out of 10 product, and I don't think there's too many things out there like that. So the Sand 5 trousers, they come in at $349.99, and they are also AAC approved, as I mentioned. And the key point of difference with these two, I'm pretty sure kind of any trouser on the market, but do let me know if anyone else knows of another one that also has a waterproof liner that comes under it that can also be genuinely used to go over the outer. I do think that's unique to this particular trouser from Rev'it, and that's the point of difference to, say, the off-track trousers that I reviewed previously that were very good, but unlike the jacket, they didn't have that over-under compatibility. So this is a medium, I'm a 32 waist, and this is the one that I would go for. So in that sense, it seems true to the size guide. They come in 3 different leg lengths. As someone who's 6'2" with a 33 inside leg, actually, I always find that the standard leg length from Rev'it is sufficient. But if you are on the upper side of that, or have a longer inside leg, go for the long. So in terms of features, like with the jacket, there is quite a lot going on, more than meets the eye at first. So we have this popper on the top here, and that opens up a little sort of vented pocket there. So either way, for airflow or storage, you've got 2 different options. You also have, a bit like with the jacket, quite a large ventilation system here. Roll it all the way down if you want, or like with the jacket, you can sort of keep it at half mast. We also have a little pocket there that's quite a good place to keep your phone, just for easy access. And in practice, I actually use this a lot, because when I'm off the bike and I'm taking pictures of the lovely ride I'm doing and stuff, I like to be able to have easy access. But if I'm bombing along, I'll put it away in the backpack or something. But so good and easily expandable there, very easy to do on the go as well. The pockets and the zips are all really ergonomic, so there's nothing that's difficult to operate. Mirrored on the other side. Small reflective band across this knee section. We have that high denier ripstop as well in the knees and on the seat of the pant, like we get in the majority of the upper of the jacket. And we have very large overlay Velcro at the bottom here, allowing this to go right over even a really chunky boot. And there's also a lot of room for maneuver when it comes to this piece at the back as well. So sometimes people with slightly thicker calves struggle with boots and with the lower part of some of these trousers. Shouldn't really be an issue here. Small reflective piece, as you can see, very subtle Rev'it branding. As I said, big section here of that super hard-wearing ripstop. Gripper sections as well, just kind of hidden, but just in the very underside, just to help you keep in position on the bike a little bit. You can kind of see the leather panels on the inside poking through, good for grip, good for control as you go along, and also helps with minimizing abrasion resistance. And when it comes to the waist, we have this little clip buckle, which is nice and neat. So you have offsets between the heights of the waterproof liner trouser underneath it, so they're not fighting with each other. This is going to sit slightly higher, and I will get this out and I'll show you it over the trouser as well. And as you can see, it looks just like any other over trouser. And bear in mind, this was underneath the outer a second ago, still fitting nicely and comfortably with that thermal liner still attached to it. So it doesn't need to be pinned or popped into position or zipped when you have it as the over trouser. You just pull it over like any other one would. And as you can see, there's still lots of space around the bottom. You've got this expandable point at the bottom with a zip as well, so you should be able to get this over most boots quite easily. And you've got that large ripstop section going all the way down the inside on the seat of the pant, and with a gripper section still here on the over trouser on the waterproof bit. So you don't lose that protective element, you don't lose that durable element by having the under waterproof now on the outside. It's really very, very cleverly considered and put together. So what a lot of people want is a one-stop shop. You don't want to have to buy your different layers and then second guess whether it all fits together. Rev'it have done that for you here with the Sand 5 H2O. They've really carefully considered how everything works and given you a jacket and trouser that will cover you in all situations. There'll be relatively few that it won't be optimal in. It's a really versatile system. For example, this over trouser, when I had it just on its own on this very skinny mannequin, I just had it on the inner popper, but then once you have it on the over trouser, it's got different popper options and you just put it on that one. So it works well, it works fine. They really, really thought this through. And as you can probably tell from the length of this, it is extraordinarily all-encompassing, well executed. Fits the brief really for anyone doing adventure. And if you do adventure touring only, you stick to roads mainly, then you probably don't need some of the systems here and you may be better off with just a simple, straightforward laminated option. But for people who have a far more versatile offering, dual sport riders, people doing trail and stuff like that, this really works well in absolutely every situation. And for people who want to add touring elements into it, stopping off in cities, going off to campsites, being off the bike and not needing and wanting to have anything more than the bare minimum in terms of clothing, the functionality, the versatility, the off-bike wearability of the thermal and rain layers as well, individually or together, is so clever and it's never been better executed. So it's a perfect evolution of the Sand, borrowing from some of the successes of the off-track too, and we think that you guys will absolutely love it. So let us know your thoughts in the comment section below and stay tuned for more video reviews of the finest adventure gear out there. There's going to be some awesome stuff coming. Loads of drops are imminent from our main brands, and there's also lots happening outside the studio shortly, including yours truly, that I will be telling you guys all about. Thank you very much for watching. See you soon. Goodbye.